blowing off bombs like they're gumballs. It's a situation that I don't think can last under the current path that we are on right now, and something's going to break, whether it emanates from the BRICS or from within, and whether it's intended or not. I think the day of reckoning is coming.
Andy Schectman is back with a bang, and this time we're diving into the heart of global economic shifts. Buckle up for a quick ride as Andy unpacks the U.S. response to de-dollarization, explores BRICS dynamics, decodes the crucial role of gold in central banks, and navigates the ever-exciting world of Bitcoin. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just curious about where the financial tides are turning, this video promises a whirlwind tour of economic frontiers. Fasten your seatbelts, hit play, and let Andy Schectman guide you through the intriguing landscapes of global finance. The future of currencies is now, and you're in for a treat.
Yeah, I mean, I think you start meddling in people's affairs. Thomas Jefferson warned us of that a long time ago. Stay the hell out of people's affairs. But you do. Xi Jinping has told the world that he will stop at nothing to reunite China. Okay, fine. But we are meddling in people's affairs that we shouldn't be meddling in. And it's one thing to talk about Israel. We have a promise and a pact with them. It's another thing to start meddling in the Ukraine and to sit right there and foster, United or NATO memberships with countries surrounding Russia that were promised never would be. It's that we are meddling in people's affairs in terms of military. But look, I would simply say this to you, that there are too many things that are being done to make me feel otherwise. I mean, and what would the reason be, I guess, is the question you're asking. We are a country that is broke, insolvent, and how do you pay back that debt? What do? You just, my mentor, Richard Russell, always used to say that, and this was 15 years ago, that the Fed is screwed and they have two choices: inflate or die, inflate or default, print or die. What about option number 3, find a villain? You incentivize these folks by weaponizing the dollar, telling Saudi Arabia and the rest of the OPEC countries, hey, we're going green. We don't need you anymore. And then you create massive divisiveness in this country. You create a situation where what it means to be an American, what inspired people, even probably like yourself when you were young, to dream of being an American is no longer maybe the vision or the thought that it once was. And you inspire this type of union that is being born. And if indeed they did make the switch where, hey, you know what? We don't like the prospects of a currency that is indebted as you are, with really no prospect of ever paying that back other than inflation and inflating away the currency, and you blur the metrics by which inflation is gauged, we're going to go a different direction. And if that indeed happens and the dollar gets globally dumped because they're no longer needed to be held or stockpiled, and they're losing value as some players start dumping, and then others, and then others, and then others, and all of a sudden the dollar starts to really get crippled and lose value, and they hit our shores, creating a massive increase in the amount of dollars that hit our shores because there's way more outside the country than in, as the stockpiling of dollars to buy oil has necessitated that. The byproduct of that is spiked interest rates to the moon to compensate for that inflation, which then blows up not only stocks, bonds, and real estate and the dollar, but the banking system as well. And have no fear, Lael Brainerd is here. She's a modern monetary theorist who was at the Fed, who worked with MIT in development of the new central bank digital currency that Biden signed into executive order that ushered in FedNow, which came out a few months ago, which is Venmo or Zelle on steroids, backed by the Fed. She's a modern monetary theorist. So if you bring everyone down to their knees because everything collapses, and it was those sons of bitches who did it to us, they did it to us, how could they? And remember, where's the debt go? Who do we owe all the debt to? Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and government military pensions. That $100+ trillion is owed to us. Who's buying all the bonds that the Chinese are no longer buying, that the Japanese are selling, Saudis are selling, Russia has already sold? All of these countries dumping bonds. Who's buying them all? Oh yeah, that's us. The hedge funds and the investors chasing yield. So if indeed there really was a plan to allow this to happen, the majority of the debt that we owe is to ourselves. A whole hell of a lot easier to issue as a modern monetary theorist a central bank digital currency to us and make us whole by signing on the dotted line and taking that CBDC, which Many of the people watching this show would say, I ain't ever taken that, until your bank blows up, your 401k blows up, everything blows up, and the federal government comes on at 6 o'clock at night and says, listen, we understand what's happened. We're very sorry. We're going to rein things in this country and be more protectionist of our own interests, and we're going to issue a new central bank digital currency. If you take it, you'll be made whole. Now, again, this is me trying to put all of these facts together and come up with a logical Occam's razor, call it, a logical outcome. But when the majority of the debt that we owe is to ourselves, it makes this whole situation a whole lot easier. And rather than pulling Bernanke and Janet Yellen and all of the former Fed and current Fed and Treasury chairs out and doing what happened to Marie Antoinette out in the town square, you can blame a villain. And that villain did this to us, inciting a rallying cry. So am I trying to connect the dots? Sure I am. But look at all of the facts that are coming or pointing to something happening. And I think it happens long before 2031, when we have to borrow every single penny of discretionary spending to do anything, including funding our military, which is supposedly the biggest in the world. And we're yet, blowing off bombs like they're gumballs. It's a situation that I don't think can last under the current path that we are on right now. And something's going to break, whether it emanates from the BRICS or from within. And whether it's intended or not, I think the day of reckoning is coming. I don't know that it happens in 2024, but I would say it's damn near close to 100% that it does happen. That is what they are intending to do, barring any unforeseen events. It is how you gain legitimacy. When people say, who's going to trust Russia or China, they'll say, look at the European Union. It didn't work. Well, they didn't have the glue that holds it all together, and that glue would be a backing of something that is legitimate. And if you back just enough to inspire confidence, you still have the ability to expand the money supply to do monetary things that, a 1-to-1 ratio wouldn't do. And I just think there is no way that these countries, because of all of the points that are fair and valid about China, about Russia, about all these countries, that I think it's important to look at the way the rest of the world looks at the United States when we make that comment. How do you think Iraq feels about the United States? Now, again, I'm a patriot. I love this country. I am not rooting for this to happen, but I'm saying when you look, if you are in an argument or you're in a debate class or you're an attorney, if you only focus on your argument and don't look at their argument, you're going to lose. And I think their argument is one that is compelling. And I think the only way to make it work, to take all of that out of the equation, the lack of trust in a new system based on who's backing it, well, fine, I agree with that. But what if you have a way to sidestep that? And that is to pledge what is now, according to the BIS, the only other tier 1 asset to something like that is immutable, like a blockchain, and show the veracity of it so you can't screw with it. They both came in through the same door. The people who buy Bitcoin and the people who buy gold, they come in through the same door of understanding. Where the divergence is that I think the people who buy gold are looking to preserve rather than to profit. And arguably the people who own Bitcoin are looking more to profit than they are to preserve. So why not marry the two? Why not take some of your chips off the table when you make a gain and put it into gold? It doesn't have to be an either or, because the ideologic thought process to get to, push back against the mismanagement of the dollar, of inflation, of things that get people in through that door, they're the same or damn near close to it. Where we diverge is that I don't sell gold and silver to people to get wealthy. It is wealth and has been for 5,000 years through every pandemic and 2 world wars and German hyperinflation and the Great Depression. Every central bank on the planet nearly owns it. They're the ones buying it. So that should tell you something. But I don't disparage Bitcoin at all. In fact, I think it's intriguing, especially in light of what's happening to the dollar. So my advice to people would be, do not think either or. Do not be narrow-minded. Be more open-minded. And, I have a friend that I used to travel with. Our families would travel together. We'd always end up in casinos somehow when our kids would go to bed. And he would, every single time we left the casino, he cashed in at the cage with tons of money. Finally, I said, how the hell do you do that every time? I'm sitting there with you. I'm watching you. Where do you come with all this money? He says, every hand I win, Andy, I put a green chip in my pocket. $25 every time. And at the end of the night, he's got a pocket full of chips. And that's the analogy here. Bitcoin is very volatile. Look what it did today because of rumors that the SEC will not, that they're going to reject these applications for the Bitcoin exchange ETF straight down. But it went straight up earlier in the year. So why not take some profit off the table and put it in old money to guarantee that when you leave the casino, you got money in your pocket to go to the cage and cash it out? That would be my advice to people. It's not either or. They're both important or should be both considered, and look at it as an either or rather than a one, and look at it as a combination, both rather than an either or.
Ready for more financial revelations? That concludes our rapid exploration with Andy Schectman on global economic shifts. If you found this journey insightful, hit the like button, share with fellow financial enthusiasts, and subscribe for more quick dives into the dynamic world of finance. Your path to financial enlightenment continues here. Until next time, happy investing.